Well, good morning. I can't see anybody, but I'm happy to talk to the camera. My name is Mark Lundy. I am the general manager here at Formula Corp in Auburn, Washington, and I appreciate y'all watching my tour today and let me show off what we're doing here. So, real quick background about the company. Formula Corp was formed about 37 odd years ago. The two owners, Chaz and Alan, they met at college. They were roommates. After college, they decided they want to form a company together, so they have basically worked together their entire adult lives of building the company I'm going to show you today. They give me the privilege of working here as their general manager, so I'm really appreciative of the opportunity I have here. When they first started the company, Chaz and Alan, this was largely producing chemicals for industrial and institutional customers. So those were your restaurants, your hotels, your schools, your canneries, industrial applications. So chemicals, laundry, that sort of thing. Last 4 or 5 years, they have pivoted hard into the personal care role. So now we package private label for people like Target, their Everspring line. We package Whole Foods 365 line, and we just signed on Sprouts, and our product should be rolling out in the spring of 2021 for Sprouts. So that's kind of what the company's doing now. So what started as an industrial institutional company is now only 15% of the company. The growth has really been in the personal care product. That's kind of what we do today. We are a full service company. We do everything from you can walk through our doors and say, I'd like to have a personal care product. These are the claims I want on my label. We will formulate that chemistry for you, give you options, and you can pick the chemistry you like. We'll then blend that chemistry, and I will show you our blending center today. And then we'll package that chemistry for you, and I'll show you our packaging line today. So we are a full service end to end. We can do everything for you today. So bring me your problems. I'd love to solve them for you. We are a growing company. That's one reason I'm here. So we currently have 4 large blending tanks that do the majority of our personal care products. And we are in the process, and you'll see some of the mess today as we add 2 more tanks. So we're adding 50% more capacity to our blending department. We are constantly upgrading our production lines. We now have 5 active production lines. I'll show you the 2, the best ones we'll say, but we have 5 total. And we're planning for a 6th and a 7th the rack, and we hope to take down in the first 6 months of next year and put new production lines in there because we are growing pretty much uncontrolled. And when I get back after the tour, I'll tell you some of the growing pains we're having and some of the reasons I like working with camps because I need some solutions to some growing pains we're having here as this company tries to grow into this new realm. So I'm going to take you on a quick tour of our plant. I'm going to show you the blending department. I'll show you the packaging line. And then we'll come back to this room. I'll take questions as we go, but I'll come back here to a quiet place at the end if that works best for Q&A. So let's see if we get started. I'll put all my garb on now. And just, by the way, just so it's public knowledge, I appreciate y'all coming to my birthday party today. This is the best I could do, so thank you for coming to my virtual party. It is my birthday today, and that's why I agreed to Kirk for this thing, so I wouldn't be alone on this important day to me. So, great. All right. Let's take a walk.
How's the connection, Stacey?
Okay.
So Chaz and Alan moved into this factory. They built this factory about 6 years ago, and we moved in here. We have a combination here of, let's see, warehousing, blending, packaging, and most of this, what you see behind me, is what we're going to try to take down in the next 6 or 7 months and put additional production lines in. We actually can't make our product fast enough right now. We found a warehouse. My requirement of the warehouse to Chaz and Alan was I could walk to it or take my golf cart to it. I didn't want the company so spread out that we ended up like 2 locations in the same town. So we found a warehouse, we think across the street from us that we can move into, move a lot of this basic warehousing activity out, consolidate our packaging, which is spread out all over the city, by the way. If I told you where it all was, you'd be aghast how far away some of my packaging is. Get it all into one place so we have better access to our packaging and have better just-in-time flow through the manufacturing floor right now. So that's our long-term goal. So let me show you the blending department. So what you see now is our primary retail blending department. There's 4 large-scale 6,500-gallon tanks in amongst all that structure. This new concrete you see on the floor is where those 2 new tanks are going into. We expect to have those delivered and installed in January of next year. So what you see is the ongoing expansion of the company. Some of the tanks you see behind those are the smaller holding tanks where we can blend faster than we can package. So we often will blend, put them in a holding tank, and feed the production line from a holding tank, or we go back into production in our limited blending tanks to keep everything running. We're pretty much running on the 2 main lines I'm going to show you 6.5 days a week, 5.5 to 6.5 days a week. We try to run 4 10s. Most are running 5 10s on everybody with 1 shift coming in on Saturday right now. And that's not keeping up with the demand. I'm still oversubscribing my production floor. So having these tanks will help manage some of that, but we're looking at a second shift and extra employees to do that for us. Over here, you'll see what used to be the core of the company, which is the industrial institutional blending department. We're going to take all these Lego pieces down, reorganize the Lego pieces, consolidate this down now that it's only 50% of the company, and make it more efficient so we can have more capacity for the retail side. So we're not abandoning the I&I. We're certainly going to consolidate it and make it more efficient for the limited number of customers we have left. So we'll walk into the packaging room. I'll give you some idea of how the I&I works. It used to be a very heavily distributor type sales model. And those distributors have largely closed down, and most large companies go direct now, which is one reason we are lesser in that marketplace. So on the retail side, our sales team goes direct to all the major retailers out there. Direct contact, we make those sales that way. So what you see on my lines 3 and 4 here today is mostly laundry products. Doing a lot of laundry today, particularly Target laundry. So I'm going to take you into our packaging room. These are lines 1 and 2, we call them. So when we went into retail, that requires FDA packaging requirements. And you're going to see this is a much cleaner, quieter room. And it smells great. Let me tell you, packaging soap is much better than packaging disinfectant. So these are lines 1 and 2 in here. These are high-speed lines. We start, we'll walk you through the process. So the process starts with the bottle orienter. We put the bottles in, they come out, they come down the line, they get lined up. They go through a labeler. Good morning. They go through a labeler. They get marked with the lot size and the date of manufacture. They come through to our fill heads here, which if you've read the goal, this is a Herbie of my organization. I need to keep these heads filling, keep the process going. So that's typically my Herbie. We come through, we put caps on, they get tightened automatically. We check the weight, and we put them in boxes and package them up. That's our general process. Today we're doing Young Living dish on that line, and we're doing conditioners on this line over here. So we'll run different products on different lines, whatever's required. We're trying to do a better job. Can you get those boards up there? Yeah. I know it says line down, not very exciting, but we are trying to do a lot with our data collection. These boards collect data on every bottle that goes through, and we're going to improve the use of that data, thanks to Parker over here, to help us better manage and make better manufacturing decisions. We've been collecting data for a long time, but we've got to do a better job of using the data. Now I'm going to show you the underbelly we're trying to fix. If you look over here, this is all my packaging lined up. And what you might see is packaging everywhere. We are chock-a-block with stuff. I've got boxes here. I've got bottles here. I've got chemical here. Yesterday, we had 218 empty totes piled up around here because we can't process the totes that we empty fast enough out of the facility. Today, we solved the problem. We found park them off-site. What I want to do is take all this space in here, everything you see, and convert this to new manufacturing lines. But to do that, I need to redesign the processes I have along the lines of the goal. In fact, the goal I've distributed to most of my production supervisors and have them read so we can have a common education, a common language to talk about. We can all talk about Herbie.
I just text them and let them know they're frozen. Okay.
Sorry.
What was the last thing they heard?
Probably moving stuff offsite.
Yeah. The goal. So I wanted to show off some of our labels now. So if you see this stuff in the store, there's the Whole Foods 360 labels of our Target Everspring. So there's my marketing of our stuff. See this stuff on the shelf? It's made here in Auburn, Washington, distributed all over the country. Please buy it. We'll make more. So I said we had 5 production lines.
We're frozen right now.
I think we're getting too far away from the guests. Oh, all right. You should be able to see it.
Do we need to go back to the room? I said we had 5 production lines. This is line number 5 over here. This line was relocated in the last couple months. What you see in this nice white room used to be a powder manufacturing production area. We've totally exited the powders altogether. We've actually outsourced it to a partner, so we're not out of the business. We no longer manufacture it. I repurposed this room to the assembly line you see here. This line is now dedicated to that I&I, that 17% of our company. So we've consolidated all the manufacturing of I&I to this line. So we can focus the other 4 lines totally on the retail products. Before that time, we were kind of sharing the lines between the two. It makes it hard to justify cleanliness and standards if you're doing 2 different disparate products like that. I'm gonna go back to that quiet room and we can do the Q&A. So one thing Kirk asked me to talk about was the impact of COVID we had on here, and it was quite interesting, the COVID part of it. Now, I'll sell this and then I'll take Q&A, but what we saw was what you probably read about in the papers. And I read about the same story in the Wall Street Journal. We had an explosion of personal care product demand. We could not make soaps, particularly soaps, fast enough. And we could have made it even faster, except there was no packaging. The global packaging market pretty much came to its knees because everybody wanted soap at one time. And at the same time that's happening, we saw a collapse of the industrial institutional market because nobody's going to school, nobody's eating in restaurants. Pretty much those markets collapsed while the other market exploded. So we responded by lots of overtime. We responded by going globally in our purchasing plan. And what happened was by the time that came in, the demand for the soaps are falling off. So we have a huge inventory problem to work through. Got tremendous amounts of inventory of packaging goods that we now have to take the first quarter to work through and work down. So it's very interesting from a business side to work through all that. Now we're actually watching the cash flow side of it as we have to finance the inventory of packaging while we try to put the stuff in bottles and sell it and collect the cash on the other side. So it's been very interesting business side as well, just from running the company as a whole. So it's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to pause for a minute before I talk about our needs and kind of the challenges I'm facing and the plans, and see if there's any questions, because I think I was talking too much. Anybody have any questions for me?
If anyone has questions, you can type them into the chat and I'll relay them over to him.
Okay,
Or,
well,
I
while
believe,
you're
Mark,
posting
you
the
can
chatting
hear, you've got
then.
earbuds in,
Yeah, I can hear
so you can
Stacy.
hear me, correct? So you
I
should
do
be able
hear
to hear
Stacy.
anybody. If you come off mute, you're welcome to come off mute and ask your question. I think Mark will be able to hear you.
Also, is the Wi-Fi working okay? Because it'll definitely work better upstairs, but if it's working fine here, then we're good.
Hey, Mark, this is Dan Koser. Can you hear me?
Hey, Dan, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, what kind of process improvements are you planning on making? You mentioned that. Also, you mentioned you're going to move your inventory. Are you also planning on trying to shrink your inventory down or change how you decide how much to buy and when to buy?
Wow, Dan, I hope I can work with you on this, because I'm going to explain to you a host of very similar problems we have. So I mentioned I have inventory all over town. My finished goods inventory, I go down to a third-party logistics company down in Sumner called PCD, Pacific Coast Distributors, I think they're called. That's where all my finished goods go. They also have most of my packaging materials. That's about 10 miles away. So at best, Dan, I get a daily delivery of packaging materials. But I will tell you, I'll be honest with you, we have very poor forecasting around here of what I'm supposed to make, when I'm supposed to make it, and how to get the right packaging from PCD up to me here. And some of those piles of stuff you saw, I'm embarrassed to show you, are a demonstration of what we're doing, which is just piling more into the same space, and we're choking on it. So that warehouse I mentioned across the street, I'm going to consolidate all of my packaging into everything from PCD, bring closer, empty this place of the package I don't need today, and then use a box truck to shuttle between the two. So I'm 20 minutes away at worst if I need more bottles, as opposed to a day away. So I hope to do that to consolidate what I have on the floor here. As far as how much I have, we certainly over-purchased during the pandemic, trying to meet everybody's demand, and now we are choking on all the excess purchases. So next year we have a definitive goal of getting the forecasting from customers, because even Target, not to put them on a report, doesn't know what they want. I could make a month's worth of Target in one day back in November, and they would scrape me clean the next day. It was that crazy. They would scrape us clean what they thought would be a month's worth. They'd take it in a day and then demand more. So even the customers couldn't forecast well. So I think in the first quarter, the whole industry is going to figure out what the proper demand is for 2021. It should probably be a little higher than 2019, but not as high as 2020. And from that, we're going to have to figure out the right packaging levels of the right suppliers who are reliable to us. I see the whole supply chain getting resorted out. Largely bottles come from the US because we have great natural gas supplies here, and the tops and plungers come from China because of the cost over there. So the whole thing's kind of getting sorted out. So to answer your question, Dan, I have to first I have to figure out the forecasting, and then I have to figure out from that how to get my supplies under control. And I hope I have to get closer across the street versus 10 miles away. I can have better control of what I put on the floor and what I put on the floor. And the biggest challenge I have in that whole process is I need better capacity planning tools around here. We use an Excel spreadsheet that we developed ourselves, and we've outgrown the complexity of my operations, outgrown Excel. So I've got a great ERP, I got a great MRP. What I need is capacity planning in the middle to help plan the use of those tanks I have, and I'm getting ready to put in to plan the use of the assembly lines I have, and all the other things associated with that. So I hope a guy like you, Dan, can help me out with that. I actually was hoping to tell you that today. Does that answer all the questions, Dan? I don't know if I hit everything you asked me about.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Yeah, feel free to come to the camp's conference seminar for ERP too, in production planning. That's a good place to
I will
start.
do that. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. That's actually the fun stuff. I love working on growth. So I am delighted to have these quote unquote problems of too much growth, not enough capacity, and trying to make it all work in one place. And the owners here are extraordinarily generous with capital purchases. They like toys, so we buy lots of toys around here, and that's a lot of fun. In fact, I got a whole bunch of gear coming in January, February, March to keep making improvements around here. Any other questions?
I have a question from Mark Evans from Zemelgo. He is interested in what types of technology you're using to manage your processes.
Great question. So I have a hodgepodge. That was Mark Evans, I think. So Mark, I have a hodgepodge I use
Yes.
here. So I've got a bespoke ERP system called Chempax. It's unique to the chemistry industry or chemical industry, and we use that to manage all of our production batches, tracking lots. It's an end-to-end great program for managing chemical manufacturing. It does not do production at all. I'm using Excel to manage production. I'd like to get some kind of capacity system that interfaces into Chempax so that as I take the batches out of Chempax, I can put them on the floor, manufacture them, and then track the lots that I put back into Chempax. So Chempax manages the front end, all of my inventory, all of my blending, and it manages the back half. Everything I package, the lots, it records everything. What I need is a piece that connects those two end caps of Chempax in the middle. They don't do that well, so I need that. We also have scoreboards around here. We call them scoreboards. Those were those boards I showed you. They collect data as well. And I can't remember which company I should advertise to tell you who they are. Because they, what was it?
V-O-R-N.
Yeah, that's right, Vorn. Thank you. Parker's helped me with the interface of the Vorn. So we have Vorn scoreboards there, which collects a great set of data, but that's sitting in another silo. And frankly, we don't have them configured correctly. So Parker has helping me configure them correctly so we understand what Vorn's telling us. But then it still sits in a silo that is really integrated with everything else as far as what am I learning about my packaging lines from Vorn. It just sits there in a silo on the side, and frankly, it's not being used. So that's the other project we have is to get boards on all 5 lines and then understand and start using the data. So I've got more data than I can manage right now. So data management and data usage, I'd like to use the data better. So those kind of the major programs I got using Chempax and using Vorn, using Excel. Heck, I use my iPhone sometimes, but those are the 3 big pieces, and they're not integrated. That's one of the challenges we have here is it's not all put together where I can watch it go through and learn what to do better. Because ultimately, I want to use visual controls on the floor. My line operators, my people on the floor, they do not look at all these systems. Should they? We could debate that. I'd like to create more of a visual flow down there. They can see where the packaging is, and as you saw, it's hidden everywhere. So we can see when the packaging's going low, so we can go to our other warehouse and get the box truck we own to deliver the next few bottles over here. So I prefer to use visual controls on the line to the line operators. The digital tool I talked about, I need to integrate so my planners can do a better job of that for me. Does that help, Mark? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. So I'm working for Zemelgo, which is a technology company, and we offer a lot of solutions around WIP tracking, inventory tracking, vendor managed inventory, asset tracking, and shipment tracking, and integrated it all, and it's all available on your mobile phone to see, track, monitor, and control. So that it might be something you'd be interested in looking into.
Yeah. Stacy, do they have my contact information?
I'll make sure everyone that's here today gets it.
By the way, I'm open for tours. If you all could be here, I'd love to have you all here. So Mark, if you want to come through and see the place, I'll welcome you through. We'll walk through it. Hey, I like giving tours, and frankly, it gets lonely without people around here. So
Yeah, I'll set it up. Thank you.
smells really good, especially we're doing mint. I love the mint days. Smells really good.
Thank you.
All right. We have a question from D. Tren. D, do you want to come off mute and ask your question, or do you want me to ask?
Thanks, Stacy. I can come off mute. Hey, Mark, how are you
Hey,
doing?
D, good morning.
Good morning to you. So I have a question for you. What the excess inventories that you currently have, is Formula Corp a B2B company only, or is there plans for the company to open the portal up either for consumer direct purchases or maybe online purchases on that?
That's a great question. I will say we are firmly a B2B company. Now, have some of our own brands. There's a Fortec brand we're trying to develop, particularly in the disinfectant market that we're basically taking some of the supermarket chains right now, but we're selling direct to the chains to put on their shelves. We don't really have a plan or intent to go direct B2C. Great question, but that's not, at least I'll put it this way. Todd, the head of sales, has not brought a B2C proposal to me yet. So I'll say I'm firmly in the B2B till he changes my mind on that one. Is that a fair way to say it?
Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Well, the other questions, I'll go through some of the planning I got here. So some of the people I need is I got 2 skilled positions I'm trying to hire into right now. One is my HR manager. We have 80 employees and no HR system around here. And I struggle with that every day. So we hope to hire an HR manager by the end of January. I've got a job search out for that, and I've got somebody helping me organize the resumes. The other position I'm looking for in a skilled role is an industrial manufacturing engineer. You saw that equipment on the floor out there. What I don't have is somebody that kind of helps me build the process to pull it all together into a single whole, and then help run the projects to implement the changes we need. We really have very little project management support around here, except for the senior people trying to kind of do it all. So the 2 skill positions I'm looking at right now is an HR manager and an industrial engineer. And then we can always use good people on the production floor, QA technicians, line operators, blenders. Blenders are hard to come by. We've had to mostly grow them ourselves. But with those 2 new tanks, need people that can run them and make product. So that's kind of the people side of my planning. I need those roles. I mentioned 2 shifts. I don't know if that came through. I got cut off. We were earlier this year looking at running 2 shifts. I think that's still in the planning. We have to see how the forecasting works out. But to do that, I need lots of people. And I'm also getting some equipment to make us more efficient. Everything you saw today on the assembly line was caps, flat caps. What you didn't see are when we do stemware, so those pump tops, those foamy tops, those, when I'm doing those on those assembly lines today, you'll see 6 extra people who are solely focused to put stemware into bottles and tighten it by hand. On those days, I'm doing like 30,000 odd bottles per line. So 30,000 bottles, 6 people. They're each putting 5,000 pieces of stemware and tightening every day. Very expensive from a cost standpoint. Very tough on people's hands. So I'm actually working with an engineering firm right now to see if we can find and buy a machine that exists to put those in for us. That's probably a $500,000 to $700,000 investment per line. And like I said, the owners are open to those kind of investments because the cost of 6 people very quickly pays back a machine to do that. Plus all the other, repetitive motion or injuries that all go to start that as well. So what you saw on that line today was 2 very, very quiet days because I don't have 12 extra people and they're putting stemware in. So just keep that in mind. It's a nice quiet day in there today, but those are some of the improvements we're looking to make. Stacy, any other questions?
I don't see any more questions in the chat. Does anybody have another question? I think they don't. Does Kirk have anything he'd like to ask?
No.
Well, I appreciate y'all coming by today. Again, get my contact information from Stacy. I like giving tours. I look forward to the day I can bring everybody through here. So happy to take in a few at a time and show you our facility and maybe work together on making some improvements here. So appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.